So one of the things we look at when we put together and I'll give my background here in about 2 minutes after Jennifer's closed out her presentation, and I promise I'm not going to keep y'all here. I mean, I can see people squirming. Like about the last 4 minutes at church, it's time to get out. I haven't even eaten dinner yet. All right. Short answer to that is every time you do and I mean, I've done them for myself or one of my family members from way back when. We're all local government attorneys. Every time you do a truck ordinance, you tailor it so that it only addresses the trucks that are coming out of Gardner, Edgerton. Okay? You're out of the intermodal facility, right? Every time you draft one, you've always got to make an exception for, let's say, a dump truck. The other thing that's real common that we have to make exceptions for, right? Local grain truck traffic, right? I mean, some of y'all but more successful farmers than we were, and so y'all have to have semis to haul around the grain. Hell, we did it with just a, deuce and a half flatbed, but y'all are living right. So with that, I'm going to send this back to Jennifer, and I want her to wrap up. I'm not pushing.
No, I'm good. I'm done. I've got one new question
Please.
that just came in. Said, is it a reality property owners can opt out of being in town if it becomes a town? We learned of Golden by reading it in the paper. No one came to us. I want to sincerely apologize from the bottom of my heart for anybody that we missed. When this thing went live with the petition to get signatures, we understood how important it was to act quickly and get it before the petitioners, because the problem is you have 300 homes you're trying to tell on the same day before someone goes down to the commissioners and they're asking, but more importantly before someone goes to Edgerton and North Point and they start buying up property to stop it. And so we really thought that if we could hurry up, the minimum was 50 signatures. We got 286 because the minimum population is 250. So by having at least the minimum number of the population by our signatures, it confirmed that we have met all the requirements. And we just hurried up and turned in what we had. We had people divide out by neighborhood. One neighborhood person, he ended up getting called out of town and didn't get to you for work. And so we turned it in thinking they would hurry up and get it on and hurry up and be heard, because within 30 to 90 days was the window. They waited 90 and backed it up 2 weeks. And so turns out we had more time than we realized, but at the time we'd never done this before, and we were just trying to hurry up and get forward. And as it was, someone still went down to the commissioners meeting and said, where's that Jennifer Williams petition? I want to know. And we weren't even there yet. And so we hadn't even got it turned in. And so we were trying our best to get to everyone. And it's just like with the notice for tonight. The Facebook group didn't have enough people on it. The next door, not everybody's online. We didn't have email addresses and phone numbers, so we literally divided again and went door to door and started handing out flyers. And so that's why it's really important that we do have names and addresses, or we have your name and address, but if we actually have a phone number and an email to go along with that, to quickly get in contact with you so that if there is updates, we have a way to make sure everyone knows, because this is all about everybody having a voice. And I even mailed a flyer to everyone's home that said, We Are Golden, gave you the website so that we could get everyone knowing what was going on and why. And I was hoping we'd have a response from that, but not as much as we had hoped. And so we're doing the best we can to get everyone involved, and you do matter. And I really, really am sorry if someone didn't come tell you about it ahead of time and you had to read about it in the paper. So I don't have any new questions turned in, so I'm going to turn it over to Brian. The opt-out. I'm sorry, what's that? This is my question too. So the petition as written cannot be changed because it voids the petition. So the current boundaries that are written, that's what we go forth for. I know there are some people that even after hearing the importance of coming together as a unit and saying, Miami County, we want this, still doesn't want to be a part of it. I know people even can't afford on a fixed income that little bit of taxes. And I would hope that someday we could do what Roland Park does, and if people are on a fixed income, those people can get a rebate back for that, but that's the talk down the road. They do it in Roland Park, so if you are on a fixed income, let the other properties that are coming and people that are still working, so you're not getting taxed out, because the point was to save your investment, not cost you. But can you opt out? Will the commissioners approve it based on some people getting out?
As the petition sets, it's either up or down. Nobody can opt out as the petition sets.
Said at one point.
What's that, ma'am?
The website did say that at one point.
There,
we could opt out.
Well, there's.
No one's being forced to be in the city.
But we were.
Right. Well, and let me add some color to that. Okay. There is a procedure whereby after the city's constituted, or put together, you can opt out, right? And that just goes in front of a board of your peers. I'll be honest with you, this is not a city that's being put together for tax revenue. So I think if you want to leave the city limits, I don't think anybody's going to care. This is all about.
Everybody can't leave, and then we're not city anymore.
Yeah, I mean, not everybody, but I mean, you know, I don't know where your property is.
We're
Or,
just farmers and we just want to be in the country. We don't want to be in any town.
I understand that. I would tell you, and I should give you just the 30 seconds.
Yeah, you are.
No, well,
You all moved out from the city.
Yeah.
Now you're making a city.
That's not what we came
let me, if I could just talk for just a minute, and then we'll get back, because I want to answer people's questions, right? That's the main reason I'm here, right? Tell you, I'm a 5th generation Kansan, okay? We had the farm growing up till we sold off when I was in junior high school. So I definitely, after 5 generations, out in the country, wanted nothing to do with the city, right? My people helped run the township, and that was what they did. Then my dad went off the farm, got up to law school, and without boring you with my family history, but my father was a city attorney until he passed away. 37 years as city attorney. And my mother is still representing Sedgwick County, Kansas as an assistant county counselor. I have more education. I am not just a standard attorney. I have a PhD in this area of law. And I sit on the American Bar Association's Land Use Committee. So there is no one in the Midwest that knows more about this issue than I do. And I'm here to tell you today, well, I only had 2 points to communicate to y'all, and then I want to answer questions. The first is, neither Jennifer nor I, there is no backhand that is guiding this. There is no ulterior motive. There is no money behind the scenes. I am losing money today being here. I'm not saying that because I'm a martyr. I stopped billing this woman weeks ago because there's no way that she could ever pay for me to come and do this. The only reason I'm doing this is that when my dad was about my age, he helped a group of people similar to you come together to stop the northern expansion of the city of Wichita. That was Park City. And I said the best way I could honor my father's legacy is to do the same for you, but be clear. Being in front of you all and talking to you all and being your mouthpiece is about the worst damn thing I can do for my career, right, that I could think of. Y'all are terribly against my best interest, right? I'm going to be honest with you, right? And this is the second point that I came here to tell you unequivocally. And this may help, right? I can tell you from a farming perspective, right? The only thing that will change for an acreage farmer, and I want y'all to hear this very clearly, very clearly. Kansas has a right to farm statute. No matter what any human being comes in and tells you, a city, right, cannot tell you you can't farm your land. However, a city can make it untenable. The reason why you want to stay in the city, Golden City limits, is that all these people would be coming together to protect your right to farm. Because I tell you what, and I've been a part of it, not as an instigator, but as somebody that did the paperwork, right? All a city has to do to make your farm unrealistic is put you in a benefit district. That's all they have to do. You can form a benefit district with 51% of the people. I don't know, you got 300 acres, right? More, whatever it is. Just double that and add another acre on. And what they'll do is they'll just draw out a district and then put you inside of it. And they'll say you get to pay half the cost of the street. Right? And if you don't believe it can happen, it can happen. It happens all the time. The reason why you want to be in Golden is that the whole reason for this thing being founded, right? I don't have time to talk about local political science, even though that's what I do for a living, all right? Y'all are coming together to prevent that. That's why you want to be in Golden. And I can tell you this, and this is the last thing I want to say to y'all, and I'll answer whatever question you want to ask, I'll answer it. There is no other way. This is your only chance. This will not happen again in a year. There's a reason why she brought this petition. It was on my advice within 30 days. You can't comprehend the level of money that stands to be made by developing you guys as warehouses. I didn't understand that many zeros could go on paper, right? And make no mistake of it, no local government, unless it's a city that you form, will ever be able to withstand the political pressure that those people can bring to bear, right, to get a development approved. I don't want to say it in more colorful terms than that, but I can tell you this. No matter how well-intentioned the Board of County Commissioners of Miami County may be, they don't stand a chance to hold that out. You may win a couple battles, right? But those battles will be temporary. They will reapply the next year. Okay? The other thing, and y'all can go and look through communities all over the state of Kansas and hell, all over the United States, right? What will happen to you is that the easiest properties to develop, i.e. the largest property owners, right? The $14,000 to $15,000 an acre that North Point's paying right now, that's the top of their range. As they get further on down south, y'all have less options, right? So that number is going to start to go down. Anybody with, and Jennifer already said it, anybody at 5 to 7 acres, they're never going to buy you. They're going to bypass you. No one's ever going to do anything to help you. And the reason why I know that is that I've worked in jurisdictions where I had to deal and help those citizens, and whatever their issues might be. Hey, Bryant, right, we got a citizen complaint that there's dust kicked up down the road because there's, 100 trucks that are go over this dirt road. And you know what the answer is? Well, we don't have the money in the city budget, right? And I'm not talking about Golden. I'm talking about cities that embrace that kind of development. We don't have enough money to pave that. Y'all are going to have to suck it up. So what we do is, every 6 months, in a gesture, they send out an oil truck, and it doesn't do anything but for a few days. That's your future. If you want to I am only here to tell you that everything this woman said was right? Joining or supporting Golden does not change your way of life. Quite frankly, and some of my people were the poorest of the poor, right? You won't notice the tax burden. You won't. If $100 at the end of the year is going to sink your farm's got other trouble. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be insensitive. I'm being honest with you. That $100 is the best insurance policy you could possibly have against your lifestyle changing. I now stand for questions. Yes, ma'am.
So basically, it sounds to me like we have two options.
Mm-hmm.
We either get taken over by the warehouses, or we have to trust our neighbors that when we incorporate, that we're going to build this correctly and it's going to be what we all want.
Absolutely.
And it's not going to be what we all don't want. And I think that's the biggest concern that people, to me, that I keep hearing.
Sure.
Is that we have to suddenly trust people that we don't even know. Because here in the country, I don't know any of you guys.
Well,
and you're apparently in the same city I'm in.
And y'all, that is the most astute question, right? Yes, sir.
Don't we always trust the people we don't know? That's my whole life. That's all I've been doing.
That's true as well.
That's all I've been doing. And I can tell just by listening to her.
Mm-hmm.
She's coming from the heart.
She is. Jennifer, if y'all do this
That's
thing,
how I trust her.
if y'all do this thing, I would highly recommend that you make her your mayor. And there's a reason I say that, okay? Being a mayor of the city of Golden is quite possibly the worst job, right? It really is. And I'm going to answer I'm going to answer your question right now, okay? There are enough people, and I know Jennifer talked about it, there are enough people that have common interests, right? First of all, the city of Golden is a developer's nightmare. right? It is a developer's nightmare. And the reason why is it's unpredictable. The number one thing that businesses don't like is an unpredictable, right, planning commission, okay? And there's enough people with your common interest, okay? The reason why this never happens, okay? The playbook for developing property is to divide and conquer. It is to pit neighbor against neighbor. And it's heartless. And the reason why is, you know, if you're a developer's attorney like I am, I mean, I went over to the developer's attorney side because, believe it or not, I have to deal with less people on this side than I ever did when I was working for cities. And they pay better too. Okay? The logic is, by allowing, and this is the logic at the city level, by allowing that development, we're creating jobs and we're doing good things for our economy, and it's got to go somewhere. Okay? They know they're going to be a steamroller against you. Your voices will never be heard. The difference is, if you're in Golden, right, you have a whole bunch of other people that the minute that planning commission starts approving things, right, that do not go with what the whole community sentiment is, that's going to get people upset. And I guarantee you, Jennifer's not the only one that's going to come out of the woodwork and be against that. So, yes and no, right? You're not trusting your friends and neighbors. If there's one thing that I've learned in this life, don't trust people, right? Trust people acting in their perceived best interest. And their perceived best interest is to outlaw the kind of industrial development that, you know, so I wouldn't think that that's going to change. I'll tell you when you guys are going to develop, if you do this, you're going to develop, the only ones that are going to see heavy development in Golden are under 10. The rest of us are going to be dead, okay? Because what's going to happen is Northwest Miami County is going to remain the only decent place to put upper end housing, have larger lot developments, okay? And then when property values are worth what they're worth in the nice parts of Johnson County, y'all are going to have to decide whether you want to keep holding that, you know, after the city's gone halfway down I-35 in Miami County, if we keep sprawling. That's the only scenario Golden's going to develop heavy, right? Apart from that, you may see if, you know, some large lots, suburban stuff come through. And maybe if there's a really rational project, right, everybody can look and decide if it's something. But this is not a high development scenario. Probably wasn't supposed to say that, but I did anyway. Yes, sir?
So is there still some risk if we incorporate?
Uh-huh.
And you mentioned earlier that maybe somebody could opt out after incorporation. And let's just say that person that opts out
Mhm.
has 300 acres or is a big landowner and sells out to intermodal.
Yep.
Is that a risk or is it not?
Well, and you ask a good question, and I actually have an answer to it that you would be surprised to hear. There's very little risk that would result, and there's a reason why, right? Under Kansas law, when a city zones, they have the right to have a say in the zoning of the property within 2 miles of their radius, right? It's extraterritorial zoning jurisdiction. So actually, if somebody were to opt out, right, then you would still be able to exert some control over what they developed as. Now, speaking to our farmer friends that are rightly, right, I want to say this. If I wasn't a city attorney, I would hate this idea, right? This seems like a crappy idea. We're gonna form a city, which is the whole thing we moved to get, you know, out against. I just know how Kansas law works, and I know that this is simultaneously safe and the best way to protect your interests, right? Be honest with you, I'm not making any money here. I wouldn't be here if I didn't believe in this, okay? And my family has way more in common with y'all than anybody up there that's making money off this development. So, yes, the short answer is you would still have some control, and it is discretionary whether a portion of property is let out. There are some standards that a city planning commission looks at, but still it is discretionary. So if it's a really bad idea to let a piece of property out, guess y'all can fight amongst yourselves. That's what zoning's all about. So
And if it doesn't touch Edgerton,
Minimal risk.
minimal risk, very minimal risk.
especially if it doesn't touch Edgerton.
Yeah.
Someone on the border wants out, now Edgerton can come down and annex, now they can.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely, that,
Which would make sense for somebody to opt out.
sure. What was your question, sir?
Referring to the letter that Miami County sent
Uh-huh.
to the whole land, there was 14 factors
Uh-huh.
asked of the petitioner to be built. In those 14 factors, there were 14 different things, so I'll just highlight it. Was why did the county commissioners want to know what Joel's gonna do about police? What are they gonna do about fire? And what are they gonna do about the road?
Mm-hmm.
So, my question is those 14 items been answered?
And that's an excellent question. So when I put together the petition, I wanted to paint with simultaneously a broad and a directed brush, right? To underline that nothing concerning current service provision is changing. That does not mean that the city of Golden does not serve those interests and serve those requirements, okay? Let me tell you what I mean. I cut my teeth working for Sedgwick County suburbs. Sedgwick County is the county of Wichita, okay? They only have one county fire district, but that county fire district covers all of Sedgwick County, okay? Including, I forget, 20 suburbs of Sedgwick County that are incorporated, right? We're talking very mature cities. They never started their own fire departments, okay? I think, no, well, I know that Unified Governments has consolidated as well, of course, right? But Sedgwick County is the model for a fire department that exists at the county level, at the county fire district level, and they flex both within cities and then in the county area, okay? So there would never be a belief that the city of Golden would have any fire department, right? Or EMS service. That's never going to happen for Golden. Not unless you all get together a community movement and you decide you really want to do that. I can tell you I would highly counsel against it. They are a pain in the rear end. You don't want to do it, okay? Regarding sheriff's service, there's a state statute that specifically empowers, okay? One of my other pro bono city representations, see, I tried to get out of the city work business, but I keep getting sucked back in by, sweetheart cases that don't pay me anything, right? The city of Viola, Kansas, down near where we're from, and yes, it is pronounced Viola. I have no idea why, instead of Viola, okay? They're a city of 450 people. They have no police department. I don't believe, last time I checked, they don't pay any enhanced fees to the sheriff's department. They don't have much crime down there. And what crime there is, they generally tend to watch out for themselves. Now, what Jennifer's been talking about is that there's a state statute, right? So the short answer is there is nothing under Kansas law that allows the sheriff to abandon Golden, right? If we form a city. Because I think the real tenor of your question, sir, and I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, is how does the county, because you're thinking like I think, how does the county use this to extract more tax money from us and abandon us, right? Because that would be the other cynical thing that they can do. And the short answer is they can't do it with police, right? And they can't do it with fire. The only thing they can try to do it with is streets. And that's why we set out that, and the streets we look at, even if they wanted to abandon you, that's where you jump from having a 2 to a 3 mill levy, potentially up to a 12 to 13. We don't think it's going to happen. And I'll tell you why, right? You'd be surprised what the hatred of however many people are here, plus all your friends, right? If you bring them down to the county commission, right, and you just rail on those people, they're probably not going to. They're not going to want to have that many pissed off people at them. And I'm just speaking frank. Important to remember. You don't lose your political power just because you become a city, right? You still have political power with these county commissioners, right? And that comes from your identity as Miami Countyans. It doesn't change when you're in a city. So that's the short answer is they can't do it on police and fire. They can do it to a limited degree on roads. And so that's why we presented two different tax scenarios, right? I think under either one, the cost benefit for being in this city is well worth it. At least if I'm in your chairs, no matter if I'm residential or ag. Yes, ma'am.
What are our odds on the 23rd?
That all depends on you.
What'd she say?
She said, what are the odds on the 23rd? That entirely depends on you. If you have 350 plus people there, you got a shot. Okay? You got a shot. You got a real shot. But y'all need to show up. And this is probably not enough. Okay? This may get it done, but you need to show up. And in between, you need to send letters to these people. Because right now, right, I would say I'm a decent attorney. The best attorneys that money can buy. People that charge $700 an hour. And people that think they're worth it are on the other side of this. Right? Trying to figure out ways to fight it. Okay? Yes, sir.
You said you're gonna stop the truck traffic.
Yes, sir.
It goes on by my house 20 times a day.
Mhm.
Who is gonna stop them, and where are they gonna go to pay the fine? The state, county, if we're a city, but then the city take their money.
Perfect question, and I'm glad you asked it. Okay? Once you incorporate, all right, instead of you being one citizen that has the ability to make one phone call to the sheriff's office, and it's their responsibility to write that ticket, okay? We're not talking about having a police force here. We aren't going to be talking about having a police force most likely.
They don't come out. I've tried it 100 times.
Absolutely, and you're exactly right.
Okay?
But you have 700 people. You have Jennifer's annoying, right? We're a two-issue city, okay? And you would be shocked at how much more closely the county listens when you have that coming not from, I don't know your name, sir, but your name alone, but when that comes out of a letter and out of people that show up, that sit on the city council, that go and show up to the county commission, right? We only have two things.
Yeah, they're going to give them the ticket, and where they're going to go to pay the fine.
The sheriff, Miami County.
I don't believe it. And where they're going to go to Miami County to pay the fine?
Yes, sir.
I don't
And
pay it.
if you,
They never have done it yet.
I will tell you, there is,
We don't have an ordinance.
I will tell you, first of all, y'all don't have, it's not against the law. Sir, it's not against the law. They don't have a ticket to write. There's no ordinance.
No, but they're running 50 mile an hour down 30.
They can't prove that. I'm sorry, I used to be a prosecutor. Now, you can be against it, right? I didn't want to come out here tonight. I'm sorry. Because these neighborhood meetings always devolve into this BS. And I'm not calling you out, sir. I understand. It is your constitutional right to pick an issue and then define it, right? And then say, it hasn't been solved, it won't be solved, I'm not for it. I get it, right? I frankly, personally, I don't care if this city gets formed. I'm only here for Jennifer because she actually cares about this area. I long ago gave up caring about saving parts of counties. That was many years ago. But if y'all want to save your part of the county, you sign up for this. Now I'll tell you that. They don't have an ordinance to write. If I'm a prosecutor, which I used to be and I still serve from time to time, right? Whatever crime you just described, they can't prove. So they're never going to write that ticket until there is a city ordinance that says they cannot be there. And I tell you what, if you snap a picture of them on the road when they're not there, I will personally, if I am still unfortunate enough to be serving this city, right, I will personally walk my rear end down and I will demand, there is a state statute that allows me to demand that that happens. Now I'll tell you one other thing too, and I don't want to let this out of the bag, right? The county, this is terrible, the county, the sheriff can write the ticket, and if you decide to, and this costs very little money, you would be shocked how little, you can have your own municipal court that will require these people to pay fines into the city coffers. That can happen. The other thing that you can do, right, and this is, Jennifer and I haven't even talked about this, right, but if you can put together, you can hire an off-duty sheriff's officer to come down and write those tickets, okay? You got to be careful where you borrow the car from. So yeah, I mean you do. You got to be careful where you borrow the car from. But yeah, if you really want to have, because you're talking about getting the same level of service that a city has, we can do it. The only person it sucks for is me, because then I have to come down to your rinky-dink like city hall and do night court once every 2 months. And if you don't think I'm being serious, I am, because I've done it at Viola and it sucked. But I will do it if it makes you happy. I swear, I swear I will do it, sir. I will write the ordinance for free. I'm almost done. You cannot, in the state of Kansas, you cannot, right? I know I'm not going to win this, but you cannot charge a speeding ticket unless you have them clocked on radar.
I can say, so you're saying the ticket is for being on the road.
Yes, ma'am.
Not a ticket for the speed.
That's right.
So he just has to have a picture of the truck on the road.
That's right.
And you don't have to worry the fact, he could be going 2 miles an hour, he could be going 100 miles an hour, he's still going to get a ticket.
That's right.
You got one on your left shoulder.
Who do we write? Who do we write?
Oh, you. 1 second, I'll get to you. Your county commissioners. You write by June 11th. You write your county commissioners. You email them. Do it several times a day. If you're looking for something to do with your
Find them online.
You go to goldenkansas.org, the first page
Golden-
is your email address.
goldenkansas.org, first page has their email address. If not, call the county clerk. She'll give you their contact information.
Also in the letter.
Yeah, it's in the letter too.
And you just
Yes.
want to say, I want to be golden.
Yep, I want to be golden. We're in for the fight. We're here. We're showing up. Yes, ma'am.
Amazon, I heard that Amazon sued the city of Olathe because
Okay.
they were giving tickets to truckers for being on roads that leads to a highway. If it leads to a highway legally, they're supposed to be able to be on the road. So my question is, 215th and Moonlight, they're gonna wanna take 215th east to, 169 highway.
Sure.
That's a chip and seal road.
Uh-huh.
It won't support the trucks.
No, it won't.
There's 3 bridges that the weight limit probably won't support the trucks. So when this warehouse at 215th and Moonlight wants all that road repaired from Cedar Niles or from Moonlight to 169 Highway,
Okay.
they're gonna want us to pay the taxes on it for trucks we don't want on our road, for a warehouse that we don't want in our neighborhood. Why should we have to pay extra taxes to repair that road?
Is this, are we adjacent to, we are adjacent to 215?
Touch 215.
Yeah.
We touch,
No, Johnson's on the north side and
right.
on the south.
The most that anybody could try to force us to pay for that is half. That's the most. But I can tell you,
Why can't we make the warehouse pay for it, is what I'm saying.
That's
Why
what
we
can't
have to
make
why
the
can't
truck
we
traffic.
boycott the
we
taxes?
can, bottom line is, and this is where, correct me if I'm wrong, but to my understanding at this point, there is not a warehouse that dumps onto 215th, right?
They've been approved, but not the actual building development is on
Okay.
215. Yeah.
Right.
And
Right.
for a 3/4 or half a quarter mile section.
Okay. We're getting back to you. Okay. So to answer that specific question, right? I'm going to sound real smart here for about 20 seconds. Okay? That's all I got in me. The Dormant Commerce Clause of the United States Constitution, right, basically says that a city cannot regulate in a way that discriminates between, that just blatantly discriminates between a truck that is identical, right, that's coming from one way on a street and going another way on a street. Okay? That's a synthesis of what you heard. Bottom line is, and you already said it, 2/15 within our city limits is not improved to the level to support the truck traffic that you're describing at the frequency in which it's coming. So, that's why we have that truck ordinance that we pass, we outlaw it, right? And then
But doesn't
we just
Johnson-
take...
Doesn't Johnson County own half the road
They do.
and Miami the other half?
They do. And so that would be, even if we were to consent to be a part of that improvement, right, which we would not consent to be a part of that improvement. We would not consent to help pay for it, right? And eventually we can be, that's a battle that we win, primarily because it's not worth it to litigate with us than to just fix the road themselves, to be honest with you. They'll pay more in attorney's fees. What's the next question? And I hope, did I answer that? Okay. You're safe. What's up?
All right, let's get back to June 23rd.
Okay.
The county commissioners have explicitly said in their letter, no decision would be made on that day.
That's right.
All right. What are the constraints on the county commissioners as to when they will make the decision or how they will make the decision? Is there a certain length of time after that date that they have to make a decision?
There is not under state law. They will make the decision probably at their next governing body meeting. Okay? The reason why they're not going to make a decision on that date is that the county is really scared of screwing this up. And so they've hired an attorney that's a specialist like me. He doesn't have, he's been around a lot longer, but he's a great guy, Jim Kapp. I think highly of him. He's going to look over everything that's said at the meeting, at the hearing. And then he's going to prepare. That governing body is probably going to go into what they call executive session, which is where they go behind closed doors. Okay? And they're going to discuss some of what they're thinking. He's then going to go back, based off of that discussion, and prepare them with written findings to support whatever their decision is. Okay? Now, their decision is supposed to be guided by those 14 guide points that are listed, along with other considerations. So what that means is, based off of the level of discussion that we're going to have, and then whoever North Point drums up, they're going to be able to do what they want. And they can write whatever justification they want to write for it, and there's nothing that we can do to bind them legally to do what we're asking for. This is, after I've done my job, which is to give them reasons to do what you're asking them to do, this is purely political.
But can their decision be appealed?
Yes, it can. Ask your next question, is it worth it? That, it depends, okay? I'm not going to sit here and sugarcoat this. If you lose this at this level, it's a tough road to hoe. I'm not saying that you can't get an appeal done, right? But I am saying that if your county commissioners don't vote for this, cry in your beer, okay?
Does that appeal go before a judge?
Yes, it goes in front of the Kansas. Goes first of all to the Kansas District Court, so we would be in front of a Miami County judge. My estimation of that, about what would happen there, is that the Miami County judge will Pontius Pilate it and affirm whatever the city did, whether it was for us or against us. And then there's a presumption at the appellate court level that whatever facts the county judge looked at, right, the county judge judged correctly. Okay? That doesn't mean you can't overcome it, but it does mean that it gets harder as you go up each level. So there are criteria that they have to consider, but unless they don't do their jobs and state why they voted, it gets hard to challenge them. Unless our case is just so doggone overwhelming, which it could be, but you got to show up, guys. What's up, sir?
Is there any right now, anybody thinking
sir. And that's a heck of a... Yeah, please?
Can you tell us more about that? I know they do that in other places, they have.
Uh-huh.
It'll be a problem over the next 20 years, 50 years.
Okay, yes, that's an excellent question, okay? And this gets to a broader point, right, that I'm going to make very quickly. When you form a city, you have also formed an advocacy group. And I cannot overemphasize that. You would be shocked, and I see you in the back there, we're getting to you. You would be shocked at how much power even a city of 800 people has to make change, okay? Number one. Number two, there is federal legislation, right? It comes down out of the Environmental Protection Act, right? You guys have heard about have you ever heard the term NPDES? You may not have. That's a land use term. It's called the National Pollution Discharge Elimination System. Okay? And there is then an SWPPP. That's something you may have heard of. I got a nod back there because we got a sophisticated guy right there. He's nobody's fool. Stormwater Pollution Protection Plan.
Discharge water could be better than drinking water.
That's right. Okay? In Golden, okay, our primary responsibility is if we permit somebody to develop, it's also our job, we are the first line of defense to make sure that all of their pollution discharge, and I don't care if it's into a lagoon that then goes into a waterway, right? Or if it's just making sure we don't have a bunch of silt that runs off. We're the first. Then the authority that the EPA looks to, right, or KDHE, because they're the local enforcement agent for the EPA, we're the to ask, hey, what's going on with this property? So yes, right, it does fall within the city's ability to both simultaneously focus on it, regulate it, and then also bring it up to higher authorities. So,
And it may be required to have sewer. Federal
no, that's incorrect.
EPA.
Nope. Nope.
They could require you to have perfect water seeping out of your ground.
I'm going to just be blunt. Okay? And I don't know who you are, but I'll tell you what the law is. Okay? First of all, I don't care if you're a city, I don't care if you're one property owner that decides you want to have, right, a commercial hog operation, right? I don't care if you're, and by the way, we can prevent that. We can prevent a noxious use. I'm not talking about preventing agriculture. I'm talking about preventing a noxious use, right? The EPA, whether you're in a city or outside of it, will never let you pollute, right, a navigable waterway of the U.S. That does not mean, in no way means, that they can require you to have a sewer. A sanitary sewer is a regulated thing by KDHE. KDHE has no regulation. There is no state statute. There is no regulation that allows KDHE to require any city to have a public sewer. Right? What they would do instead is if somebody's discharging raw sewage, they would say, you can't do that. Don't you know that we have these things called septic tanks, right? And guess what? When you have a city that doesn't have a sewer, you don't let anybody subdivide their lot smaller than what KDHE will allow to have a septic tank on. Okay? There is no state statute that allows KDHE or anyone else to tell a city that they have to have a sewer. That is a lie. And I'm sorry, I'm not saying you're a liar. I'm saying that it would be incorrect to say that.
I'm just worried about the LPLA.
Bottom line is, I won't get, there's all kinds of things I could say to that, but let's not. Go there.
Part of the fear on the opposition side, this is what I've been hearing.
Yes, ma'am.
That the concern is once we incorporate as a city and we get our services for fire, water, police, wherever,
Yep.
they're going to make the decision, oh, now you're a point where we're not gonna be able to,
They,
I mean, you can't move, you can't leave, you can't pay your taxes, you can't do anything.
they're, and I don't, did I interrupt you? I didn't mean to.
No. that's
Right.
it.
I think the easiest answer I can give to that, okay? And unlike people on the other side, we're telling you there are no cards hidden, right? If we see a hole in something, we told you about it. We told you they may be able to pressure us to put a few more mills towards streets. That's it. And I'll tell you,
If we paid the 50 mil, I mean,
No.
I'm saying we would go as a community and we would put the pressure.
not only that, after about 9 mills, we'll just buy our own damn road grader, guys. Hell, I'll come out and run it. It ain't that hard. There is a state statute, and I'm gonna leave it with this, because anybody that wants to be assured that the county cannot raise your taxes needs to listen to this. The U.S. Constitution says that it is unlawful for any taxpayer within the county to pay any more of an assessed tax rate than any other. Right? And the sheriff has a duty to enforce the laws throughout the county. The only reason why people put together police forces is that they would like very much to have the police within a 2-minute phone call instead of a 15-minute phone call. Okay? That's it. That makes sense? And fire, you have no danger. They cannot make you form a fire department, and they won't. They don't want to. Because they lose your revenue, by the way. If they were to force you to form a fire department, they would lose all your tax revenue. Trust me, they will never pressure you to form a fire department. You are the gift that keeps on giving, because your properties require very little infrastructure. And what they do is they suck out your taxes so that then they can charge the people that live in Spring Hill less money. Do they have a fire department? Spring Hill? Yes. Who doesn't have a fire department? Somebody doesn't have a fire department. Anyway, they're sucking money out of you. Right? Hillsdale. Yes. Okay. Thank you. Who else has a question?
Thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am?
I just wanted to make a statement.
Please.
I've been in a real estate for 32 years.
Uh-huh.
And our area, to me, is the best kept secret for wanting to be out in the rural community. You're 5 minutes from Gardner, you're 5 minutes from Spring Hill. I mean, what isn't to like about where we are? But you know what? If we don't stop these guys from coming in, our values are going to go down. Buyers are going to say, oh yeah, that intermodal, my God, that's going to be, I don't want any part of that. Well, this is the way to protect us from lowering the value of our properties.
Couldn't have
We
said it better.
can't, they're never going to come to us now anymore. So, I just wanted to make that statement.
I'm glad you did.
See that?
It's to me, if I sat in your shoes, I would sign off on this every day and twice on Sunday. And that's not because I represent it. I'm here because I actually believe in this. You all actually have something here worth protecting, right? You go to certain parts over in Missouri, and I don't like Missouri because I'm a Kansan. It ain't worth protecting over there. This is, right? This is. Anybody else have a question, or can I shut up now? Oh, yes, sir. Purple. Uh-huh.
Jennifer briefly mentioned possibility of another zip code. Does that mean we have to build a post office and have a postmaster and do our own deliveries?
Oh, not at all. In fact, if you could convince the post office to do anything, you let me know. Because those people, right, I'm sorry, they stopped building post offices 20 years ago, right? And no, they stopped building post offices 40 years ago, right? The bigger threat is whether the post office, and this has nothing to do with the city, right? The bigger threat is whether the post office will keep delivering mail every day, right? And that could happen across the nation. Who else? Yes, sir. I can't hear you. I'm so sorry. They could be there. Don't know. I don't know their strategy. There will be people that are the agents of North Point there. They may be your neighbors, right? There are economic interests within the area of Golden, right? that could be served, right? They're thinking long term. Okay? North Point's the easiest sale of land. If you want to cash out, right, of a large tract of land, North Point's your easiest seller for the next 20 years. Period. That's all there is to it. So yeah, will they have people there? Will there be realtors there that may say something like, oh, this could have a negative effect? I can tell you this, being in the city of Golden ain't going to have a negative effect on your property values. I can tell you why I know that, but it's not even worth wasting the time of day. It's evident, right? Yes, ma'am. It's going to be a cluster flop, right? What's going to happen on the 23rd is that the Miami County Commission is not going to be prepared. Okay, they're going to look awkwardly to the county administrator, who's then going to sheepishly read off a statement that says everybody has the right to talk for 3 minutes. Okay, everybody that is there can talk for 3 minutes, and if anybody tries to foreclose that, I will have case law in my hand that says you all have the right to talk for 3 minutes. You will get your right to talk for 3 minutes. They cannot say, well, you know, you, sir, you look like the smartest one of the group. And actually, he does. Like, I don't know what your name is, but you look like you got your act together. We're going to elect him the spokesman for all of you people, right? And then we're going to let one other person speak against it and move on. They can't do that. That's unconstitutional. That violates the Kansas Open Meetings Act. That's been established. So everybody will get to say their piece. Any other questions, or do we get out of the bugs?
Is it expected for us to say something there? Would it be best if we said something?
Oh, I would have as many of you stand up and say something. I would make this awful if I was you, right? I mean, at least a good solid 50 of you should stand up and say the same things over and over again, because then you're going to remind the governing body members that they're going to have to hear that if they don't vote yes. You need to remind them of what they're going to hear day in and day out if they don't vote yes. And you need to talk to your neighbors and get them there. If you want this to happen, there needs to be at least 300 people there in favor of this, or else the commission won't vote for it. Any other questions? And I've got my cards. You're more than welcome to harass me at work. Why not? I am. Anything else? Yes, ma'am.
Going to echo what she said. We've got two choices. It's either warehouses or Goldman.
No, I thought it was at the school.
And encourage your neighbors.
Yeah, that's it.
That's exactly right.
That's exactly
If
right.
you don't, as you leave, I will leave you. If there's only one thing you take from this, if you don't come out in support of this, you will be a warehouse district. And it's not going to be pretty. Yes, ma'am?
Just follow up. Everybody needs to send multiple emails.
Yes.
Like, over and over and over, right?
Send them, I mean, be reasonable.
Oh, I know, but-
Send them a couple of emails to each commissioner, okay? Each commissioner. Put pressure on each commissioner, or else this won't happen, okay? Thanks, guys.
This is at the middle school.
Well done, thank you for all your work on this. I'm sorry, I'm sure the pay is really good. Do you have a card? I do have a card, and I apologize, I wasn't trying to treat this with any less of the, convincing of me. But let me grab a card. I've got a card, you guys can have them. Yes, sure.